Hi, I'm Greg Hunter, and this is the weekly news wrap-up for Friday, the 27th of September, 2013. Hey, how do you like my office? We'll have a crop report coming up in just a minute. But first off, the fight over Obamacare is just a knockdown, drag-out in Congress. You have people like Senator Ted Cruz giving a 21-hour filibuster on the floor of the Senate to discuss, how he thinks the law is bad and how it will hurt the economy. And hey, you know what? The Republicans may have a pretty good case on how it will hurt the economy. And I think there's many Democrats that are holding their tongue and quietly are a little afraid of what's going to happen when Obamacare rolls out in October and completely rolls out in January of 2014. Already we've had a big push for people to have their hours cut from 40 to 29 and a half. So, companies don't have to offer health care. They've already got the employer mandate where companies with 50 or more employees would have to provide health care are not doing so. The Obama administration put that off for a year. I don't know how he can pick and choose what parts of the law he can enforce, but he did that. And, already we're seeing a doubling and tripling of premiums now. Nancy Pelosi, the then Speaker of the House, says we have to vote for it to see what's in it. Well, we're seeing what's in it. And what's in it is a big tax. What's in it is higher premiums. What's in it is a bit of a chaos in the rollout, and it's going to be a real drag on the economy. A real drag. Meanwhile, they're still fighting over the budget, which Obamacare is part of the budget, and the debt ceiling, raising the debt ceiling. I mean, we're at $17 trillion and counting, and they need to raise it. They're going to have to raise it a couple of $1 trillion. I mean, and then we have the budget fight. Now, a lot of people think that it talked on the air here at USA Watchdog, they'll kick the can down the road. They'll do something they always do. I'm not so sure. I'm a little worried about this. And what I'm worried about is I'm worried about the fact that this could hurt the economy. I mean, in the 90s, when we shut the government down a couple of times in the 90s, hey, we had initial public offerings coming out. We had company creation, thus job creation, thus low unemployment. We didn't have a lot of debt. We weren't wrapped up in a bunch of, economy-draining wars, and war cost money. You have to pay for the bombs and the medical care and the bullets and the food, to campaign troops overseas. We didn't have any of that. And now we have this huge deficit, $17 trillion and counting. We have to raise the debt ceiling. The dollar isn't exactly strong overseas. They're buying a lot of our bonds. The Federal Reserve is, and it's $85 billion a month that they're panicking. And in my opinion, that really shows the economy is doing terrible. And a government shutdown would cost us plenty in terms of our statute. Interest rates could spike. The dollar could collapse. People could sell our bonds. I don't know if you guys can't get your act together if I want to hold Treasury bonds at all, even the ones I've already got, let alone buy new ones. And speaking of a hit to the United States, the way the United States is viewed, President Obama was at the UN this week, and he basically was asking the Iranians to talk about their nuclear programs, wanting to open up dialogue. Now, he's not totally sold on it. He's got some reservations, but he's trying. And I applaud the president to do anything he can to avoid war with anybody, to try to have diplomatic channels. And the president even wanted to meet with the new president of Iran, Hassan Rouhani. And, it looked like they were going to meet face-to-face, but Rouhani said, no. Can you believe that? I mean, the former president of Iran, Ahmadinejad, wanted a meeting, would have loved to have a meeting, would have jumped on a meeting, and now, not so much. Now, Secretary of State Kerry and other counterparts, his counterparts in Iran, are meeting, so they are talking. Excuse me. But I think this is an ominous development, that the new president of Iran passes on a meeting with the president of the United States about its nuclear program. The one that they tried to have talks with a while back. The West thinks that they're building a bomb. Israel thinks they're building a bomb. The Iranians say, hey, we're doing this for the peaceful production of energy, whatever. And you would think that maybe that the Iranians would jump at a chance to meet face-to-face with our president, which leads me to wonder, is our president damaged goods? Is the world looking poorly upon him for the way he handled the Syria conflict? Do people think we're weak? Did he lose credibility? Finally, I don't know. I hope not. Finally, J.P. Morgan, I just got to bring this up. I mean, J.P. Morgan, they may fork over $11 billion. Another fine. Another fine. Why? Because the USA Today, the way they put it, they mishandled. It's handling of mortgage-backed securities in the years leading up. You know, the way they handled the securities. Oh, you mean, I don't know, the way I thought the big banks handled the securities were security fraud, ratings fraud, and when it all blew up, they committed forgery, perjury, and fraud on the court in what they called robo-signing, and, so they could get control of those assets again. But, of course, Gannett is owned in part by J.P. Morgan. J.P. Morgan is a big shareholder in Gannett, and they just can't, they just can't put anybody in jail. This is another week where, the bank is $11 billion, going to be an $11 billion fine for those mortgage-backed securities. The same one, incidentally, where the Federal Reserve is buying $40 billion a month and taking them off the hands of the, the five big banks. I would imagine, although I can't prove it, that J.P. Morgan, if they're being fined $11 billion for how they handle mortgage-backed securities, that they too are having these toxic bonds that were supposed to be equal to a treasury. Now they're toxic. I don't know how that's not fraudulent, that you sell something that's like the United States selling a treasury, and then a year later going, yeah, you know what, those are worthless. What? Excuse me? So I just think it's pretty outrageous that another fine, nobody goes to jail. Nobody goes to jail for any kind of malfeasance. Nobody goes to jail for laundering money for drug cartels or for countries on the terror list. Nobody goes to jail, but Jesse Jackson Jr. goes to jail for misusing $750,000. Okay, crop report. Last year, sad. I mean, we had corn that you barely had any kernels. This year, I mean, this is just an average year. I just picked this up right here off the stalk right here. Look at that, beautiful. And the beans are good. Corn, the prices are down, although beans are still about $13 a bushel. Corn's $4.50, a bushel, $5. So prices are down. And, a lot of you folks talked to me and asked and said, hey, is that GMO food? And the answer, according to the friends of mine around here, is yes. Almost all corn, beans, wheat has some sort of genetic engineering, genetic modification, some degree. Some is more drought resistant, some is bug resistant, some is water resistant, some grows higher, some grows faster. But farmers don't really have a plain choice. They can't say, yeah, I'd like to have, 400 bushels of seed that has nothing on it. They don't get a plain choice. Either you plant a GMO, some type of a GMO seed, or you plant nothing at all. That's pretty much how it is. But the good news is that crops this year are looking pretty good all throughout the Midwest. Still some real bad drought situations out in the western part of the country, but it looks like we're going to have a pretty good crop this year here in the United States for at least corn and beans. Well, that's the way I see it. Thank you so much for supporting USA Watchdog with your comments and your donations. That helps us out. I'm Greg Hunter. Have a nice weekend.